everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur TV show. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live on this channel. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Also on Instagram at divine_goddess_27. Bright and melanated people on Patreon at Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and Twitter at dgoddess27. So let's get ready to get into it. Everyone, please be so kind as to go ahead and like and share this video, okay? Let's get the likes up, people. Hello, Lady E, Terry, DB Truth, Conscious Outlaw, Joe32, Venus, Nicole, CH464, Silent D. All right. So let's get into it, people. Silent D says, listening while fixing lunch for work. Okay, beloved. Hello, Woke One. All right, Fight for Black, Vetta's daughter, Tamisha, Melanated Brown. So let's get into it. Now, you know, I have reported on young Pharaoh and his nefariousness and all the things that he had to say about Black women and the Black community, how he's no longer wanting to be a part of it, and how the same Black women that he once called God, now he calls us the devil. I find it very interesting because all of this started because he fell out with his baby's mom. So because one Black woman and he don't get along, or they had an issue or whatever, he wants to blame all Black women. Let me tell you something. You all should have known young Pharaoh was an ops. He was an agent a long time ago, as far as I'm concerned. When he first came on the scene, all he did was sow seeds of discord and tried to cause chaos and pandemonium and start going in on all these other people from the conscious community. That's the only thing that he did. All right, that's the only thing that he did, not to mention his scams, which I exposed those on a previous live. If I need to resort back to them to remind you, I clearly can show you the video coverage. But at the end of the day, this is what it is. Like I said, and here's another thing too. It's very interesting that Brother Polight and young Pharaoh, they have so much in common. You see, they both go around using all these fancy words and jargon and talking all this metaphysical things, right? And talk about Kemet and all that stuff, clearly being hoteps. But at the end of the day, both clearly fraudulent and putting on a whole facade, right? Clearly fooling people and hustling the conscious community. That's what many of people do. And the thing is, because they're not conscious, there's a lot of unconscious people who claim to be conscious. There's a lot of diet woke or sleep people who claim to be awakened. And they absolutely are not. And some of these people, sadly, are always trying to live their lives vicariously through someone on YouTube, right? They have talking points that they want to get out themselves, but they can't. So they feed it to someone else, or they follow someone else, hoping that they can get their fix through this person. A lot of people will cape for these people, cap for these people, and just full on, stand behind them no matter what the evidence is against them. They will make excuses and try to justify their BS. And it's funny because people have long been saying that Pharaoh was a fraud, that Brother Polight was a fraud, that Dr. Umar was a fraud. I mean, the list goes on and on. Side Netta. People have been saying these things. Sadly, many didn't want to listen. They tried to make justifications, but now, when it all hits the fan, all these people want to act like they already knew. I knew he was a fraud. I knew he was a scammer a long time ago. Well, if you knew he was a scammer a long time ago, how come you're just now saying something? How come you continue to let him fool the people? If you knew, why didn't you come forward like I did? Okay? Because I exposed young Pharaoh not only a couple of months ago, but I first exposed him 3 years ago on Facebook. And I had the receipts to back up everything I said. Like when he lied and said he was going to start a chain of daycares for Black women all throughout the country. And he proceeded to collect money to do so, which he never did. And remember, I told you he was a felon. So how is a convicted felon going to open a whole chain of daycares throughout the country? And then the time he lied and said that he needed money for his legal counsel. And then we find out that he had legal aid, and you don't need to pay them because they're paid by the state. I even produced the audio with his own legal aid attorney saying that they were paid by the state and that he took no money for Mr. Marshall, which is Pharaoh's last name, right? So all of these fraudulent things that they said, and it's really amazing because Young Pharaoh was talking trash about all these other so-called conscious people and trying to expose them when the whole time he was a fraud himself. He was clearly a fraud himself. And then we have Grandmaster Jay. Now, I know some of y'all are going to get mad and getting your feelings about this. I really don't care. But when Grandmaster Jay came on the scene, I knew immediately that he was an ops. And I did videos on that. And some of you just went in on me talking about I wasn't down for black people and all of that just because you were fooled. And if Grandmaster Jay was so much so for the black community as he proposed to be, where is he now? Where is he now? Has anyone heard from him? He's nowhere to be found. You see, that's what happens when you go in and infiltrate and you're undercover and then you get exposed and your cover is blown. They have to pull you right back out. They have to pull you right back out. That's how that works. See, here's the thing. So many of us just wanted a revolutionary. So many of us wanted another Huey P. Newton. So many of us wanted another Malcolm, right? So when he came on the scene and he said all these charismatic words and talking all tough and masculine, so many people just bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. I'm going to tell you, when I first noticed that something was a bit off, first off, the first video I ever watched of him, my intuitiveness, my inner self, my third eye told me immediately he was an agent. But I tried to tell myself that I was overthinking things, as I often sometimes do. I'm an overthinker. So I said, maybe I'm just being paranoid. Maybe I'm just thinking too much. So I said, I'll sit back and I'll watch and assess the situation to see what comes of it. And then when I started noticing that he was talking all crazy, making threats, terroristic threats on social media, and he never got arrested. They never even so much as took down his channel, but they've taken down my channel. They've banned me numerous of times. I've never made threats. This man was making full-on terroristic threats. He talked about snatching up and kidnapping the mayor and throwing him in the back of a truck, kidnapping his kids. He was saying all kinds of crazy things. Talking about burning down Kentucky during the Breonna Taylor protesting. He was saying a whole bunch of crazy stuff. None of y'all thought that that was a bit strange. Those of you who were backing him and were getting mad at me and anyone else who said that he was a fraud. And just what I told you would happen when his little fiasco was over has happened. I told you all. They're going to snatch him up and he's no longer going to be on the scene. You're not going to hear hide nor tell of him. And here's, as you can see, we don't. Even when he got arrested, here's what some of the people said. Oh, well, he can't be an agent. He got arrested. Why would an agent get arrested? Honey, agents get arrested all the time. Agents have always gotten arrested. That's a way to make them look like they're not being a whole infiltrator. And then some people said, well, how did he infiltrate when he was the leader? How did he infiltrate? Well, he didn't. That's the whole thing. You see, back in the 60s and 70s, they used to infiltrate. Now they've gotten more skilled and crafty at how they make a fool out of black folk. So rather than infiltrate and take down your leader like they used to do, now they send you your leader. So when you all start falling under the spell and the leader goes and does something foolish, now you all can be held accountable. That's how that works. Now, the thing with Grandmaster Jay is that some of us exposed him before he could have done as much damage as I'm sure they had planned for him to do. DB Truth says, 100% Queen, I always listen to my spirit ancestors, and my spirit ancestors warned me about each of them, so I immediately stopped following them. Absolutely. Listen to your intuition, your gut feeling. Like I told you on the spiritual channel the other day. Thank you for your insight, beloved, and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Now, hold on. Let's look at Brother Polight. Let's talk about him for a second, because this is what I found interesting. Let me tell y'all something. Hey, Mark from the UK. So when Brother Polight was spitting all that knowledge and sounding all intellectual and charismatic and things, a lot of people were captivated and mesmerized by that. And I will tell you something. You see, here's the thing. Those of you who are so captivated by the words and phrases and things that Brother Polight and Young Pharaoh and other people like them said, that was likely because some of you don't read and research yourself. So when you hear people saying these things, talking about metaphysical things, spiritual realms and all of this stuff that clearly is such woke information, the reason it captivates you so is because you don't do the research for yourself. And so you think these people are just so brilliant. They're such geniuses. That doesn't mean that they're geniuses. They just know how to apply. They know how to sit down and apply themselves and read and research and absorb this information. You could do it too if you tried, but some people are too lazy to do it. But here's the thing. If you know you can make a lucrative living off of this information and knowledge, if you know that you can play people and hustle people, con and scam people, and get over on people by learning this information, you'd learn it. Some of you. That's incentive for them to learn it. Right? They just learn how to con people. Because here's the thing. When people go to prison, now I'm not talking about everyone who goes to prison, but there are some people who go to prison, and you all know this is true. There's some people who go to prison, and while they're there serving their time, they learn how to get better at whatever crime got them there in the first place. You see, some of these people are already pimps and hustlers and cons. And when they get arrested for it and they serve time for it while they're there, they just figure out a way to legally con people, to legally scam people, right? This is what some of them absolutely do. They just get better at committing their crimes. And in fact, if they're really smart and crafty, they can figure out a way to get the same amount of money out of people legally, but still scamming. And the reason I say it's a scam is because they have you thinking that they, in fact, are something or someone that they're actually not. Brother Polight is not really pro-Black. I don't care what anyone says. He's not. He never has been, as far as I'm concerned. First of all, he's not even foundational Black American. That's for number one. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be pro-Black. Of course you can. But what I'm saying is, for those that we know that are usually not pro-Black, they're usually not foundational Black Americans either. But with that all being said, let me show you Exhibit A. Now, I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this foolishness. And some of you have seen it before, and I don't know why you continue to follow this man. Let's get the likes up, please. Please like and share. There you go. As you can see, this is a picture of Brother Polight with Becky, no less. Now, as you can see, Becky is wearing a dashiki. I find that very interesting. Now, let me read to you what he said when he posted this picture on his own Facebook page on July the 13th of 2017. He said, hashtag, can Becky wear African attire? All right, I know you may not like the fact that she is a Playboy model. Fine. It has been said how important it is to get back into African attire. Is it wrong to get the white woman in African attire? Will the Black man get love for his influence, or will you condemn him and call it treason to have Becky in African garb? Do we set the trends and limit other races, or is it free for all on the African market? Either way, I salute. Hashtag Gillis Lynn. That's what he said. Either way, he salutes. Now, here's what somebody commented and said. They said, can't be pro-Black and pro-white. One always cancels out the other. Someone else said, how can you be a prophet and have so many material things, man? Y'all niggas are funny. You parlay with Playboy models and hang with rappers talking about trapping, and you conscious? I ain't mad at you, because whoever believes your BS is pitiful. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Now, I'm sorry, but who's pro-Black and you're hanging out with a whole Becky who's insulting our community by wearing a dashiki. I absolutely do have a problem with white people wearing African attire. I literally do. I don't care who doesn't, I do. Just as the natives take issue with people wearing their native attire as Halloween costumes. It's not a costume. That's their whole culture. Just as the Scottish who wear the kilts, I'm sure they would be offended if people just walked around in kilts. But here's the thing though. See, it's okay when other people get offended, when people, disrespect their cultural apparel. But when black people complain about it, we're racist. When we talk about cultural appropriation, it's a problem. And you know why it's a problem when black people talk about it, foundational black Americans? That's because everybody wants to copy off of us. Everybody wants to do what we do. That's why it's a problem. But when other people don't want people culturally appropriating them or mimicking their apparel or using it for Halloween costumes, no one gets offended. No one gets upset. That's perfectly fine. They're supposed to be angry, but they get mad at black folk when we say something about it. Well, I'm going to say something about it. I don't like to see white people wearing dashikis. I really don't. It's disrespectful, in my opinion. First of all, they don't care anything about our culture except for what they can benefit from it. And that's just facts. And with the history of nefariousness that comes from them and their people, even if they're not one of the specific ones who did it, I still don't like to see it. It's insulting. The same people that deprived us of our culture and heritage and religious practices, spiritual practices, the same people who did that now want to copy us, imitate us. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I absolutely do. Now, let me show you Exhibit B. And this, again, is another picture of Brother Polight. This was also posted to his own Facebook page by him, no less. And this was posted December the 18th of 2017. I guess that's when he was going through his white women phase. Black women, this is what he said. Black women on my chest, black woman on my chest, white woman in my arm. Thanks for keeping my name out there. Christian interview game is mean. I swear these white women are so slick. They know I want to hate their race, and they keep working hard to treat me better than my own people. They keep helping me build my brand and feed my family. They keep showing me so much love. They keep it up, and I'm going to have to go to war with them. This is what he said. This is what he said. But let me tell you what someone commented. They said, I really don't care. What bothers me is that posts of this kind always have a negative bite about one's own race. Why? You were raised by blacks, and black is what shaped you. What other race does that? Why not just post your little picture without excuses? Absolutely. I agree with this young woman. I absolutely agree. I mean, when you want to praise other races or you want to be down with other races, that's all fine. If you want to date outside of your race, that's all fine. But why do you have to denigrate your own race to do so? Because you see, when white folk date outside of their race, especially if they date a black person, you don't hear the other white people going in on them. You don't hear those people, rather, shall I say. You don't hear the person who's dating the black person. You don't hear them talking trash about other white people. Like saying, oh, white women are no good. That's why I date black women, because these white women are just hateful and angry and bitter. You don't hear white men saying that. And you don't hear the white women dogging the white men. White men are weak. White men ain't no good. That's why I date the brothers. You don't hear them saying that. The only fools you hear saying that are black people. That's the only fools you hear saying that. Black people who date outside of their race always, for some reason, not all of you, there's always exceptions to the rule, but many of our people who date outside of their race, they always want to make an excuse to try to justify why they're doing it. You don't have to justify it. If that's what you choose, that's what you choose. But don't sit there and try to bash other black people because that's what you do. Don't act like one bad experience that you have with a black woman or man, or a few bad experiences you have with a black woman or man, is the reason you date outside of your race. Because at the end of the day, there's good and bad in every race and ethnic group. And that's just a fact. And for the same black men who love to say angry black women, what about these bitter Karens? What about them and these bitter Beckys? There's angry white women too. But it's very interesting that these so-called conscious brothers, they're really unconscious. Yeah, they can convince so many black people that they're on the up and up and that they really have a concern for black people, for justice, for liberation, for all the things that we fight for on a daily. They don't have any interest in that. If they did, there's no way them getting upset by one other black person, their baby mom, their ex-wife, or whomever, would drive them to the brink of saying they don't any longer want to be black or deal with black people. They'd rather just be with white people. That wouldn't drive them to that. That would not drive them to that. Yes, it's off code. Oh, QD. It's absolutely off code. Hold on. Now listen to this. This is young Pharaoh going on his rants. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to play a portion of it. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you in advance. Let me go back to around the 10-minute mark. Okay.
I am in too important of a position, and I have worked too hard to deal with the shit that I stopped gangbanging for, to deal with the shit that I left the black community for. Y'all niggas now are bringing the nigga shit to the internet. It's not even on the block no more. Now it's on the internet. Now we spreading chaos and rumors and beef and drama on the internet. Why is it that wherever niggas go, it's nigga shit?
Hold on, pause right there. Thank you, Malcolm, for your kind words and your contribution, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Delmonte Greenbean says, Ms. Shakur, what creates this detail of people that copy our design? It should give us an example of who we are, but we don't see to improve in other areas of activity for ourselves. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings to you. You see, the thing is this. Black people, many of our people have been brainwashed so much into thinking that white is better and to thinking that black is bad and to having self-loathsome thoughts, you know, having low self-esteem, and they think white is better. And that's why they praise white people. It started with back in slavery when they indoctrinated our people into Christianity, giving them the idea of a white savior. That's where all that comes from, a white superior savior. That's what this comes from. And many people don't want to hear this. Many Christians don't want to accept it and believe it, but it's all true. And if they really thought deep about our own people and about themselves, they'd realize that if we weren't so great, why does everyone want to imitate us? Why does everyone copy our style, our swag, the way we talk, the way we walk, the way we dance, the way we sing? Why do they copy all of those things? That is because they know. They know who does it best, and that is black people, foundational black people. We do it the best, and everybody knows that, except for some of our own, sadly. That's why they become plantation mammies, pappies, and sammies, and so on and so forth. Now, I want you to listen to what Pharaoh says, because one thing that he said is, why is it that now we're bringing beef to the internet, and why is it that everywhere niggas go, it's nigga shit? Well, with that all being said, here's the thing. Young Pharaoh was one of the main people who brought beef to the YouTube streets. Isn't he, or is he not? When he first came, isn't that what he was doing? Bringing beef to the YouTube streets? And so now he's been a hypocrite and sitting here saying, you know, because now it's all on him. Because people are talking about him and what's going on and how he treated his baby mom, and you know how he's messing around with this white woman who he keeps claiming is a nanny and all of that. What black person actually has a nanny? Or somebody make it make sense. I mean, and if we could find a black person who actually had a nanny, would they be on young Pharaoh's level? I don't think so. But let's continue.
Cool. And then y'all want to blame the motherfucker that's trying to make sense out of everything, that's trying to get everybody to think before they act, that's trying to stay calm. Cool. I'm going to say this. I have nothing else for you. Fend for your fucking self and think for your fucking self. Don't ask me shit. Don't ask me nothing. Don't ask me what I'm thinking about shit. It no longer matters. I'm gonna act like I don't know you motherfuckers from here on out. If you're not Odd Nation, I don't fucking know you. It's that simple. If you're not down with Odd Nation, I don't fucking know you.
So y'all heard what he said. He don't effing know you. I know that hurt some of your little feelings. I know you hated to hear him saying that. And so now you have to accept the fact that people like me who exposed him a long time ago were right. He doesn't care about black people. That's what he doesn't care about. Okay? Because otherwise him falling out with his baby's mom wouldn't have anything to do with what's going on right now. But hold on. Here's another thing I find interesting. Let me pull this up. I'm going to start with Brother Polight. Because, you know, Brother Polight is very similar to young Pharaoh. Whether he knows it or not. Whether he knows it or not. Delmonte Green Bean says, why wouldn't we call anyone a nanny in the first place? It's a babysitter. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, beloved, for your insight and your contribution to the channel. Exactly. And a babysitter comes and goes. A babysitter comes and watches the kids while the parents go somewhere. And then when the parents come home, the babysitter leaves. With a nanny, the nanny literally lives in the house. The nanny lives with you, right? Keeps the kids, watches the kids, and cooks and whatever for the kids, and stays there. So that's a whole difference. So that's my thing. Black people don't have that. Black people have babysitters that come and go. Black people don't, you tend to hire someone to come and live inside of their home to take care of their kids. That's what lazy women do, who don't want to take care of their own children. That's how that works. Now I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this. And I'm going to talk about it afterwards. This is Brother Polight. And then I'm going to show a video of Pharaoh doing just about the same thing.
To more than sustain me. I've properly secured the future of my children.
Hold on, let me let you all hear the beginning of this.
You know, everything's satisfied. Blood all over the floor. But on another note, I know you guys haven't seen me in a while. There's a good reason for that too. I've been dying my best death. It's good to see the people in there. So the moral of today's story is, I only want your half so you can let it go.
I'm going to fast forward.
Rolls-Royce is now in how we do. It's called the drop head. Yeah. Suicide doors. See that? Rolls-Royce Diaries, baby. Rolls-Royce Diaries. So, you know, after you have about 3-4 cars that cost over $300,000, I mean, what more do you want? Another one?
Now you heard what he said, right? He said once you have 3 or 4 cars that cost over $300,000, what more do you want? Another one? Clearly caught up in materialistic things. Let me tell you something, and this is absolutely true. People who engage in this type of materialistic worship and stuff, they'll do anything for money. Just so you know, if someone's literally sitting here bragging about having 3 or 4 cars that cost over $300,000 a piece, that is a person who will absolutely do anything for money. Hence, they will do anything. So for people who didn't know that he was capable of doing what he's been accused of, you should absolutely have known, because some people, it's easy to tell that they'll do just about anything. All you have to do is pay attention to how they move. That's all. Now, let's look at young Pharaoh flashing his fancy car. Because this is what they do. But they're supposed to be so conscious and have such an affinity for Black people, or so be so in love, shall I say, be so in love and crazy about Black people. Here we go. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share.
Run your mouth real quick. I just want you bitch ass niggas to run your mouth. I just want you bitch ass niggas to run your mouth. Wait a minute. I just want you bitch ass niggas to run your mouth. Run your mouth, bitch ass. What? What you nigga? What? You said what? What you said? What you niggas was talking about? What? Stop playing me, man. We up. Our nation. Let's get it.
Now, you see that? You see that, right? So here's the thing. When these type of people first come onto the scene, they'll be wearing all of the African jewelry, the wooden beads and all that stuff. They'll be talking about Hotep and Shalom and all of those things. But as soon as they make it big and they start making all this money, you see what they do? They become a whole nother person. That's who they truly are. That's who young Pharaoh has always been. That's who Brother Polight's always been. Flashy, clout chasers, right? Self-absorbed, not concerned about other people. What are they doing in the community? The whole time they were sitting here selling pipe dreams. The whole time they were sitting here being fraudulent and putting on facades and faking to care and have concern for Black people's well-being and all of those things. And basically just hustling. Just hustling. And they were good at doing it to those who are unconscious, because the woke ones with the third eye open, you saw them from a mile away and knew they were fake. For those who were caping for these people and capping for them and giving them a platform to stand on, to grandstand on, you should really check yourself as it pertains to your discernment. Because if you think you're woke and you cape for these two clowns or anyone like them, such as Grandmaster Jay, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. Because you're unconscious. You may be diet woke. Because it's not hard to see through the facade of people like these. You see, the thing about them that they can't hide is that they are so vanity driven, so materialistic, such showboaters, such attention whores. That's what these type of people are. They can't hide that. Because as soon as they get a taste of the good life, as soon as they start to get their name out there and people start knowing them when they go places, getting their fame, and then they start raking in the money, and they're able to buy all these red bottom shoes. You see how Polight in the video, he was letting you see the bottom of his shoes? And then he picked up a backpack on one part. I don't know if I showed that part, but he actually picked up the backpack on the side and showed the bottom of it. It was red also. He said blood on the streets. That's what he said, meaning that nothing but red bottoms is all they wear and rock. So this is what they're interested in. They're not interested in social justice for Black people, liberation, none of those things, reparations. You don't hear them talking about those things. They're self-absorbed and they care only about themselves and what they can get from the rest of us to further allow them to live their lavish lifestyles. Black is Black says we need to have a punishment system in place like other groups. Then this type of treachery would end. That's true, but you know what? Thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. You know what else would allow this to end? If our people just woke up collectively and stopped being so blind to the facts. Stop ignoring the red flags, because there's always something to let you know that these people are fraudulent. But the thing is, many of our people overlook these things. This isn't the first time someone heard that Brother Polight was messing around with young girls. This isn't the first time. It's not the first time. So it's no need for anybody to be acting like they're all shocked. But it's some Black men out here who were pretty much running to his defense and acting like, oh, this little girl lied and her mother put her up to it and all this stupid stuff. First of all, this is a child. That's for number one. This is a child for number one. So we should have given her, in my opinion, the benefit of the doubt as opposed to giving it to a grown man. Because first of all, what was he even doing with her? And that first story that came out, the story that I read to you from the report, those were his words. That's what he told the police. So nobody was lying on him unless he was lying on himself. He's the one that said he was given permission from the mother. He asked the mother if he could take the child off by herself so he can talk about rebuilding the relationship. And that they were supposed to go to the club and the club was closed and all this, that, and the third. He's the one that told the police that story. Because the mother told a whole nother story. And I told you all that about being up in the room, in the hotel room, and they're supposed to be going to the lobby so he can get her something to eat and leave her with the other group of people. So I don't know why anybody thought somebody was making up lies on him, because that's what he said himself. That's clearly what he said. But you see, some people don't want to accept the truth, because the truth hurts a lot of times. The truth hurts. So some of our people just want to bypass the truth and stick with whatever makes them feel comfortable. Conscious Aloe says, we just going to pour a big glass of Diet Woke if you can't see it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your insight, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings to you. So it's also crazy, but hold on. And you know, let me just say this. It's not only young Pharaoh and Brother Polight. No. There's Dr. Umar, who for at least 10 years has been talking about building that school. Now, I don't know if in the beginning, Louise says, Queen, you always warned us about these frauds. I salute you. Thank you, beloved. Thank you for your kind words and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Your BG says, young Pharaoh isn't humble enough to be a teacher. Too much ego. Yes, and that's what it is with many of these people in the so-called conscious community, really unconscious. That's how many of them are. You have some of them who say they only want to talk to certain types of Black people, right? Black Mama says, you said it best, Queen. We need to pay attention to how people move, not just what they say. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. Thank you for your kind words, your insight into the topic, and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. And so with that all being said, some of us just want to stay blind to the facts and don't want to accept it. But like I was saying about Dr. Umar, now, I don't know if Dr. Umar had nefarious intentions in the beginning. I really don't think that he did. I think that possibly he wanted to open the school and it was just more than he expected or whatever. And he just was overwhelmed, perhaps. Maybe he was just flat out lying. At the end of the day, the school hasn't come to fruition. And all those people that gave him money want answers. So here's my thinking. When things like that happen, let's just say, when you're collecting funds for something so huge, such a huge task, right, or huge project, as Dr. Umar was, you should have a time stamp on it. You should not be collecting the money for 5 and 10 years. You should have a time stamp on it as, you know, I want to get this much money by this amount of time. And if you don't get it, whatever you have by that time, just let that be the cutoff. I think that you should not just have it like endlessly, like it's just going on to infinity. And then also you should be keeping careful account and record of those who contribute money to you. So if for whatever reason you're not able to complete the project, you can then return those people their funds. Because if you do that, then people will not be saying that you scammed them. People won't feel like you took advantage of them, because you may have had good intentions, but let us remember that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So just because you had good intentions that didn't come to fruition, that doesn't mean that everybody's just going to say, okay, and give you a pass. Some people want answers and some people want refunds. When people are giving their money and donating to causes that they want to be affiliated with, and those causes don't come to fruition, I think people should be given transparency. They should know exactly what happened so that things didn't go forward. And I think they should be given their money back. And then at a future date, if you have something else, then they would likely be more than willing to contribute again. But when you just take people's money for years and years, and you don't complete the task that was initially the reason you collected these funds, people can assume they're left to nothing but their own assumptions, because you've given them no answers and no receipts. So it clearly looks fraudulent, even if you didn't intend for it to. So that's just how that goes. That's just how that goes. Another thing is, Ramsey says, Queen, did you watch I Am Legend yet? Yes, beloved. I actually mentioned that yesterday on live. I actually did watch it. Thank you for your question and for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Yes, I did watch it, beloved. And yes, it does seem exactly like what's going on right now. Okay? Absolutely. So, QueenAShakur says, when you are transparent with a project, people are more likely to support future projects, refund the money if the project failed. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what should be done. There should be no discussion about it. That should be a given. If you have collected funds for something that you can't complete, it turned out to be more than you expected or anticipated, or you didn't possibly do all the research, so you didn't get all the information, and now you see it's going to be more trouble than you anticipated, or not as lucrative as you had imagined, just give the people back their money, explain to them what happened. That way you save yourself from the embarrassment of people thinking that you scammed them. But of course, if you really are scamming the people, well, I guess you don't want to mention those things. So there's a lot of people that's very charismatic in their speaking and very manipulative and deceitful. And so they can easily get things out of people and completely brainwash people. Completely brainwash people, right? Like that guy, Derek Jackson. Now, Derek Jackson was going right here. I knew he was fraud from the beginning. I've always said that. I've never really watched his videos like that, but I've seen a few of his videos on Facebook from time to time in the news feed. And I knew he was just running game. Everything he was saying, he was just like, talking down on the black man and, making assumptions. That's what they were. But he was passing off his assumptions as facts. A woman would, ask him about a husband or a boyfriend that she suspected was cheating, right? And he'd say, oh, he just doesn't know who he is. He suffers from a identity crisis and he's just immature. How do you know that without talking to the man? You're just going off of what the woman told you. When you're listening to one person's side of the story, you can't say how the other person feels or thinks. You don't even really know this person. So it was clear to me that he was just saying whatever he thought the woman wanted to hear, whatever he thought the women wanted to hear. And that's how he was making his money. That's a hustle. That's a hustle. When people aren't scholars and aren't, educated in certain areas and they're trying to charge you for giving you knowledge in these areas, that's usually a scam too. That's usually a scam too. So it's a lot of ways that people can scam you and fraudulently, get you to donate to different things and causes when they don't have your best interest in mind. And that is a lot of that going on in the so-called conscious community with a lot of these people. Some people actually produce what they say they're going to produce. Some people collect money. They say they're going to do something and they do it. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the ones who collect your money, say they're going to do something and they absolutely don't do it, like young Pharaoh. All right. Several people in the past have said that Brother Polight scammed them out of money. One couple said it was $30,000 that he scammed them out of. We've heard a lot of these things about these two before and other people as well in the conscious community. And Sanetta and people like him have given these people platforms to continue their BS. They've given them the platform and have co-signed for them. I'm going to tell you what I find interesting. Some of the very same people who have co-signed for these fraudulently obtained so-called conscious people, they're now not speaking out against them. They're not denouncing them. They're not saying anything. See, if I had pretty much co-signed for somebody who turned out to be nefarious, I will come back and say, you know what? I was wrong about that person. I was wrong about that person. I thought they were legit. You understand what I'm saying? I thought they were legit. I would come out and own it. But a lot of these people who co-signed them, who gave them a platform to spew their foolishness and their lies and deceits and their fake pro-blackness and their unconsciousness, they're not saying a word. They're silent right now. You know why they're silent? Some of them are silent because they're frauds too. And frauds of a feather stay fraudulent together. Not only that, some of them aren't going to say anything because they don't want you to realize their lack of discernment. They're supposed to be third eye woke, but really they're third eye blind, and they wouldn't have been caping for people that are fraudulent. That's just what it is. But hold on, because I want to show you all this because I thought this was very interesting and hilarious at the same time. I'm going to share my screen. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time I go live on this channel. Let me start at the 1 hour mark.
About and hear it from you for the first time, and you are saying to yourself, hey, I know what people are thinking when I say it, but I know this shit is made up and it's from a fake language, and you got this in your head, but I'm turning around, something's on with young Pharaoh talking about the Anunnaki. What is that person supposed to do if they ain't catch the lecture where you said, hey, I know this shit is bullshit, I know this ain't African, I know that, you know, that's why I'm like, hey, I don't know. I'll say this.
They would already know, because I would have already stated that before I said it. Like I said, I've already done a whole.
Let me show you this. I'm one of those people that heard you say Anunnaki and didn't pick up that information. And I'm not the only person that heard you say Anunnaki and didn't pick up.
Now let me prove my. All right, now let me help you out here.
I'm not finished.
When you heard me say,
I'll let you do your thing. I'm not finished. I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna give it right back to you. I'm gonna close out. I won't make it long. So my thing is, I don't know when to take what you're saying literally based on philology, and when I should take what you're saying as a form of rhetoric. I don't know when. And if this is going to be very convenient for you to argue that you don't make up the words that you use. That's going to be so convenient for you. I won't be able to do nothing with you, because you'll be able to say at one point, this word does correspond with this group of people. And in another instance, I didn't make up the word. The language is fake. And I'm just using it because I know what people's conceptions are when I use the word. I don't know how to debate you under those pretenses. So that's why I'm trying to find out, when is the word relevant to the culture versus when the word is relevant to the rhetoric.
All right.
That's
good. All right. All right. I understand. Now hold that question, because I want you to know, when you, like you said, everybody grows. I didn't, how our body started going into languages and things of that nature until I stepped into a certain foe or a certain intellectual enemy. So when you say you heard me say Anunnaki, I'll pull a goddamn video up right now. That motherfucker is from a year and a half ago. This is 2017, Pharaoh. My mind has grown and expanded.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit.
If the XY chromosome is an XX chromosome minus 2.8% of its own genetic mass, then that means the man would have had to came from the woman. So how did 3 extraterrestrial men come down here and manufacture a race of women? I've never heard them say that. So when I say I've already went in there and checked and tweaked the Nuwapian teachings or any other organization who use that teaching, that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying with me is, I've already exposed any organization I went into. I've already exposed the truth within the lies. I went into Egyptology, found out Meta-Nature was bullshit. Went into Dr.
This is what I would now debate. I'm willing to debate that you are making up the parts of the stories that's most befitting to your approximations. That's the most positive word I can use. As opposed to accrediting the original cultures for even giving rise.
I've heard enough. I absolutely cannot. Now, you heard how they both were sitting there so tediously debating one another, right? Trying to disprove the other. I want you to pay attention, though. All of the jargon they were using, you know, how they sounded so intellectually, intellectually stimulated and all of that. Let me tell you something. Here's the thing. For our people who don't read and research, they sound like geniuses, right? But if you're a real scholar, someone who really studies and knows these things that they're speaking of, you would know that sometimes they were talking crazy. I've heard young Pharaoh say things that absolutely were not true, and I'm thinking, who believes this? Like the time that he said the writings on the ancient walls of Kemet had never been deciphered. When he said that, he was talking about the hieroglyphics and all that. He said they had never been deciphered. That's absolutely a lie. That is absolutely a lie. I don't know why Sonetta or whomever was on the show, I think it was Brother Polight was on the show. They were on Sonetta's show debating. I don't know why anyone didn't just go in on him. I I've heard him on several occasions say things that absolutely made no sense, were absolutely not true. But no one bothered to correct him because obviously no one knew that he was lying or giving misinformation. So that's what I'm saying. You know, when you don't read and research for yourself, that's why the Bible says study to show thyself approved, thyself, not someone else. So that's why when you don't really read and research and do the work yourself, and then you merely hear someone else saying something and you simply regurgitate what they said, you don't know if you're giving false information or not. And sometimes you could be repeating something that someone said and make yourself just out to be a fool. Because everybody in the so-called conscious community isn't conscious, and that's just facts. It's a whole lot of unconscious people out here. And that's just the truth of it. Ramsey says, I know this is off topic, but some doctors are coming out telling us to keep a close eye on the dead people and to watch how they, yes, beloved, just like I Am Legend. Have you watched it yet? Ramses, I told you at least 15 minutes ago that I did watch it. Are you listening to the program? Thank you, beloved, for your insight to the topic and your contribution. But yes, I told you I did watch it a couple of days ago. Absolutely. All right. But let's stay on topic because the jab is not involved in this conversation. And yes, we've already known those things about those that got it. Okay. Now, Chelsea says they are two frauds in a pod. Yes, absolutely. A young man said prison babble. Yes, that's another thing. That's another thing I want you to pay attention, people. I want you to pay attention to something. There's a lot of people that are in the so-called conscious community who've been to prison. Now, I don't knock people for going to prison. I mean, sometimes you do things and sometimes you grow from it and learn or whatever. So I'm not going to hold that against you, but this is what I will say. A lot of people who go to prison, they get quote unquote conscious while they're in prison. See, I got into a whole debate with somebody about this one time. They were trying to match wits with me. And they were talking about, you know, this, that, and the third, and naming all this stuff or whatever, metaphysical things and all this, and trying to take me to task. But here's what I told them. You were in prison. This is what I told them. You were in prison. Now, you read these books and you did this research and you learned these things while you were in prison, right? And that's good because you made very good use of your time spent there. But here's the thing. 100 Black says, I listened to young Pharaoh a few times. Pharaoh started sounding stupid. Then he started running down all the ventures he was pursuing, sounding promising. Pharaoh found an opportunity in manipulating emotions with fast talk. Yes, this is what many of them do. Absolutely. Thank you for your insight and your contribution to the channel, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings to you. This is what many of them do. Absolutely. Or a lot of so-called pastors. Yep, some of them too. H2 Anthony says, I love you. I will try to donate to you soon. I'm just fighting a battle right now. That's okay, beloved. That's okay. But thank you for your kind words. Peace, love, and blessings to you. So with that all being said, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying about young Pharaoh? I can't remember at the moment, but hopefully it'll come back to me. But I'll say this. There's a lot of people in the so-called conscious community, right, who, you know, they go to prison and they learn these things. That's what I was talking about. They go to prison and they start doing all this research and learning this and gaining this new information and knowledge. And that's fine. That's good. I'd rather you be doing that in prison than trying to be, you know, up to mischief. But here's the thing. You see, there are some of us who learn these things and research these things just out of a thirst for knowledge. Because we just love to learn and obtain information. Now, I'm not saying that people in prison don't as well, but what I'm saying is there's a difference. See, when you're in prison, you can't go anywhere. When you're in prison, you're bored. So you find ways to entertain yourself, and sometimes researching and gaining knowledge, that's what you choose to do. Now, like I said, that's a good thing to do, but I want you to understand and know and be clear. There's a difference in a person who goes to prison and starts reading and learning this information out of nothing else to do or being bored or can't leave the premises than there is from someone who's sitting at home in their living room who's studying, reading, and researching, because they can go anywhere. They can be doing anything, but they chose to do the research. They chose to gain the knowledge and learn so they can share it with other people. If you're in prison, you don't have too many choices. So it's not as credible to me when you're just sitting in a cell learning all this information as opposed to somebody who's out free can do whatever they want. And they chose, instead of going to the club and partying, they chose, you know, instead of being out there hanging on the street corners, they chose to sit there and learn. That's all I'm saying. That's my opinion. You can agree or disagree. But another thing is, a lot of these people that are sitting up in prisons learning and obtaining this knowledge, at the same time their wheels are turning and they're learning these things, they're also realizing and figuring out a way how they can use this to get money out of people who read and research these same things. Hence young Pharaoh and people like him. That's all I'm saying. Because was young Pharaoh woke and spitting all this knowledge before he went to prison? No, he wasn't. He wasn't. It was after. Okay? It was after. So with that all being said, he likely sat there and learned all this stuff, read all this stuff, got all this information, and then said, you know what? This is going to be my hustle when I get out. Because Black people are always looking for somebody to save them. But Black people need to realize ain't nobody going to save you but you. All right? No one is going to save you but you. So that's just what it is. And like I said, there's a lot of this going on in the conscious community. A lot of these people are, in fact, unconscious. And they're running whole cons and scams and frauds. And they're taking people's money, saying they're going to build this and that. Oh, I'm going to build a school, Dr. Umar. Right? Oh, I'm going to have a chain of daycares for Black women, young Pharaoh. Right? And none of those things come to fruition because it was never going to in the first place. And if it was, and if they actually had good intentions in the first place, but it didn't go through for whatever failed reason, like I said, be transparent with the people. Have a cutoff date when you start raising money for something. Don't sit there and start raising money in 2021 and talking about you're going to build a school. And then in 2031, you're still talking about you need more money for the school so you get the school all fixed up and everything. Because now that looks like a whole fraudulent scheme. So that's all I'm saying. With that all being said, Queen Candy J says, facts, 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 Queen. We must save ourselves. Absolutely. Stephen says, true snake oil salesman. Absolutely. Many of them are. Many of them are. And one thing you should always pay attention to is people who are supposed to be so down for Black people and Black causes and pro-Black and all that and everything's blackity black, black, black and all that stuff. When you don't see them actively doing something for people in the Black community, when the only thing you ever see them doing is taking up donations because they want to do this, that, and the third, and always trying to sell you some type of dream or whatever, always trying to sell you some type of something, pay attention because that's usually a hustle. That's usually a hustle. So I'm not going to say it's always a hustle, but it usually is. So pay attention. With that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I thought that last little bit was funny because Brother Polight and young Pharaoh both just going at each other's throats, trying to debate and all this and that, trying to show who has the most brain power, mental strength, or whatever you want to call it. But clearly both fraudulent, clearly both self-absorbed, neither really caring about Black women. And here's the thing too. This is another thing. I'm glad I just thought about this. Hold on. Brother Polight, you know, I told you how young Pharaoh was calling the Black woman God, right? And then all of a sudden, now that he falls out with his baby mom, we're all of a sudden the devils. And Brother Polight also was calling the Black woman God. And his wives, they all look like prostitutes. I'm sorry, it's true. Don't blame me. I'm going to pull up a picture. I mean, I would think that if they're supposed to be such gods, he wouldn't want to sexualize them the way he seems to. He wouldn't want them walking around scantily clad and all of that. I mean, it just isn't a good look for someone who's supposed to be so conscious. That's just my opinion. I mean, I just thought, hold on, I'm trying to see if I can find this picture of him and his wives. Hold on. And let's not forget, I also told you all about how Sonetta had called Brother Polight out when they were mad over some money one time before. Allegedly, that's what they were upset about. And he basically said that Brother Polight was lying and saying some girl was his daughter, but it was really the daughter of a woman he dated and the child had run off with him and all this old stuff. So clearly he knew. Clearly he knew something was going on. But you didn't say anything? I find that very interesting. I find that very interesting. Hold on, people. Here we go, right here. Now I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this picture. I mean, his wives just look like some straight up hoochie mamas. That's what they look like to me, just hoochie mamas. I'm sorry. For the black woman to be God, he sure wasn't treating them like it, from the looks of it. Let me see if I can zoom in. And that's a nice picture by comparison, some of the ones I've seen, honey. Okay, I've seen worse of him and his wives. So I'm just saying, for the black woman supposedly to be God in his eyes, he wasn't acting like it. Okay? Look like a pimp and hoes. That's what it looked like to me, pimps and hoes. That's what it looked like. And I want you to pay attention to something. You see, some of these unconscious brothers who claim to be members of the conscious community, included they're not, you know, they used to be pimps in their former lives. That's why they would have wives that look like that. And those are not really sister wives. Those are hoes. I want you to pay attention. There's Negroes out here who are whole pimps. This is facts. They're whole pimps. And they have at least 4 or 5 hoes, maybe 6. And instead of saying that they're pimps and these women are hoes, they say, these are my sister wives. No, they're your hoes. They're your hoes. They out there on the strolling on the strip and all of that, and you making cash off of them from whoring them out. They're your hoes. Please stop the lies. Please stop the madness. Okay? Because I know some people who have sister wives and they don't dress like that. Okay? They dress very modest. So please stop making a mockery of people who are out here really living those type of lifestyles in the correct way to build and to have, you know, generational wealth and things like that, and doing it the right way. Please stop making a mockery out of that by out here being a whole pimp with your hoes on the stroll with everything hanging all out, scantily clad. Y'all walking down the street, arms linked, looking like y'all looking for tricks and Johns, tricks and treats, and all those things. Please stop it. All right? So, with that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Davita says, pimps up, hoes down. Okay? Pimps up, hoes down. Brother Polight and his streetwalkers. That's what they all look like, seriously. All right? So with that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Don't forget to also subscribe to Authentic Black Goddess TV, because I'm going to be going live on there with different topics than on here. All right. Make sure you like and share the video, subscribe to the channels, click the notification bell, and click the word all so that you're notified each time I go live. So I hope to see you all in the next chat. Enjoy the rest of this lovely day. And until next time, Royal Family, I'll talk to you all again soon. Peace. Hassan Campbell was the worst of them all, says Slur. 2. Thank you, beloved. I didn't get into that. I don't really know much about him. But I talked about the ones that I know out there doing the dirt. Okay? So peace and blessings. I'll talk to you all again soon. Thanks for your contribution, beloved.